Can you imagine going from being a avid runner and a healthy young 30-year-old woman to someone who is physically disabled by a stage 4 cancer diagnosis? And it's visible because of some of the equipment that comes along with that. Clara, we talked to last episode on Patient Conversations with Leah, was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer at 30 years old. And now, just 8 months later, we're talking. And now I'd like to kind of delve into what has this done to her physically? Because a lot of times, some of this, like for me, people don't see things physically. For her, it's a little different. And what does that mean? And what does that do to you as a person? So, again, thank you so much for being here this morning.
Yeah, so I think a lot of cancer patients kind of have the thing where people will tell them, well, you don't look sick or you don't look like you have cancer. And in my case, I feel like I do look sick and I do, I do look like I have cancer, or at least that there's something like wrong with me. And so after my second hospital stay, they wanted me to start using a walker because unfortunately with the anemia and I have really low blood pressure, I experience these episodes of extreme lightheadedness where I start to faint and get really dizzy and get vertigo. And I get like what I call, it's kind of silly. I call it like glitching out like a robot. Like I'll get these like tremors that I can't stop. And we don't really know where all that's coming from besides low blood pressure is what they think is contributing to all that. And so needless to say, I am on some blood pressure medication to help with that. But yeah, I was using a walker for a while and I still sometimes use it, but I am trying to work my way away from it. And so I have a couple of canes that I use when it comes to disabilities, different like things to help with disabilities, there's so much out there. Like I have a cane that folds up and you can put it in a bag so you can like travel with it. And then I also have a cane where it has like 3 legs and it goes like that and it has a little canvas seat so you can sit down on it. So that's why I have all those things because if I get that lightheadedness feeling, I need to sit down immediately. And because there have been times where I don't have it right next to me and I just fall to the ground and I black out. And that is very dangerous, obviously. And it's hard to, having all that equipment and having to get in and out of the car has been really frustrating. And so sometimes I get upset because I don't want to go anywhere because I don't want to deal with getting my walker in and out of the car and relying on somebody to drive me. But the good thing is, I'll say, it was we got a handicap sticker so we can park real close and it's not too much of a big deal. And I'm really active on social media and I've made a lot of videos and posted them. I realized one day, I was like, I don't think anybody knows I use a walker or anything. And so I just started talking about it. And then people started commenting like, oh my gosh, I use one too. It just made me feel less alone. And I'm glad that I can help others and speak to others about my experience.
I think that's great. I mean, I agree because until you put it out there, a lot of people, I don't want to call it suffer in silence, but I mean, it's kind of that way. People don't want to talk about it. Or if we're sitting here right now, you can't tell what's going on the bottom half of my body, and I can't tell what's going on with yours. So I think just putting it out there for people to know is so, so important. I am a former teacher and I, had kids with different disabilities and different, we used to call them tools, walkers, wheelchairs, whatever, canes, glasses, braces. And from their experience as a child is one thing, but as an adult who has been healthy previously, I mean, until 8 months ago, to go from that to actual having visible equipment that you're using, how does that make you feel when you're out in public? It always fascinates me what people will ask or say or stare. And I would love to hear how you feel about that.
Yeah, really good point. When I'm in public with my walker and, my bald head, and it's obvious there's something wrong with me, I definitely feel a lot of the stares. But I know that they're just trying to figure out like, oh, what's wrong with her? She's so young. I hope she's okay. And so I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. And I always, encourage people to ask questions, but, I'm not going to like go into a room and be like, everybody ask me a question about like why I
Right.
look like this. But and what's funny is I actually bought a bunch of the Young Lung Cancer shirts because I wanted people to be like, "Oh, okay, that's what it is." But yeah, it definitely stripped me of my identity of being like this active runner. And I had done half marathons and just loved running and loved being active and hiking in Colorado and all the things outside. And now I'm getting more active. And like I said, I'm moving away from the walker and more towards with a cane. And so I try to tell myself instead of focusing on what I can't do, and I can't run right now, but what can I do? And so I've been doing yoga because I can like sit down on the mat if I need to. And then I've also been doing a cycling class because it's just a stationary bike. And so that's been nice to come up with these, creative ways to still be active and still have that part of my personality.
I think that's great. That's great advice. Like, don't focus on what you can't do. Kind of
Mhm.
try new things, and sometimes the new things become the passion, right? Like,
Mhm.
maybe you never would have taken yoga before, or maybe you
Right.
never would have cycled before, and sometimes that's just what your body needs. And the other thing is, I was an avid runner before I was diagnosed. I'm no longer running. I had bone mets in my spine and pelvis, and it just hurt. And then, at first they were afraid for me to do that with that pounding and those weakened bones. And I was diagnosed right before COVID, and during COVID, I went out and ran 3 miles just to prove that I could do it. Haven't done it
Mhm.
since. But I wanted to be able to say to myself, like, "I can do this." It was hard, but I did it. And even some friends saw me running and they were like, "We saw you out running. What's going on? Are you feeling better?" But now I found other things. I've found F45 that I love. I love Pilates. I mean, there's walking, has been, and that's been a great thing with friends. So I like that you're encouraging people not just to be like, I can't run anymore or I can't,
Mhm.
whatever it is, but look what I could try and might become something I love. And I think that's important. And I love that you're wearing the shirts because sometimes
Yeah.
that's the easiest thing to do is just wear the shirt and people are like, oh, okay. Because even
Yeah,
there are
exactly.
times like when I always wear when I go to the oncology office because people always think like, what are you doing here or whatever.
Mm.
And then they're like, in fact, so I think that's great. Well, I know physically you've been through a lot and I know mentally and emotionally this diagnosis is a lot. So I think that people will love to listen to our next episode where we talk just a little bit about like the impact on your life as a young person, your relationships, what you thought was going to be going on in your 30s. But yes, so if you are interested, I'm sure you are. Clara's full of insightful stuff at such a young age at 30. Please like and follow. Make sure you catch our next episode. And Clara, thank you again so much for joining us this morning. You have been just a breath of fresh air and sharing what it's really like to be a young lung cancer patient.
Yeah, thank you again for your time.